So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about scootering in 2009. Now I have here behind me this picture of this fish. This is Tiktaalik. This was one of the first animals to live both in the sea and on land. And that's like scootering in 2009. Everything before 2009 took place in the water, and everything since then has taken place on the land. So it's a cornerstone year for scootering. Here's another chart I have showing, you see here's 2008. Scootering was in the aquatic environment. And then afterwards in 2010, we were in the terrestrial environment. Scooterers became tetrapods. So here we go, 2009, early scootering. You can see this is what it looked like back then. This is sort of the primordial stew. There were volcanoes and whatever this is. So here's some stuff from pre-2009. We have Yak, Proto's around, Eagle Sport, Razor, obviously, you know, probably the most famous scooter company, albeit not very core. Here is a scuba set, obviously, because all this was underwater. Rad Scoot Co., they start welding bars in like the mid-2000s. Here's the Micro XT Complete and the French ID Muffin Complete. These are both pretty sweet. You can see the Muffin comes with like a wrist strap. This is foldable. It looks a lot like the Razor Pro model, which we have some Pro models here with buff bars on. The Micro XT, I don't know if I've ever actually seen one with my own eyes, but it seems like it's got a funky thing where it doesn't have a folding mech, but it's like two parts of the deck that are bolted together. Wii scooters, shout out Wii. Here's some hieroglyphics. This is close to what people were writing with pre-2009. It's slightly different though. We got Micro, Scooter Resource. The Scooter Resource forums was one of the big, that's kind of where the scooter community was pre-2009. We have the forums archived. You can go take a look at them. Here's the French ID. We got Jarrett Reed doing a techno-hander backflip, and then here's Brian Boston doing the first Bri flip. So pre-2009, we have tricks and we have companies. These aren't new in 2009, but things are just different. Here's what your average computer setup would look like pre-2009. They'd be watching RVM3 with their scuba set, got headphones. Looks pretty nice. So here we are, we're at 2009. And this ushers in the death of early scootering. I just thought this was cool. So to help everyone get their 2009 hats on, here's a mood board of stuff. I'm gonna go through it real quick. Obama's inaugurated. 2012 comes out, the movie. Blink-182 gets back together. Michael Jackson dies. Jay Cutler wins Mr. Olympia, does the quad stomp. Scotty Kramer wins BMX Park Gold. We got Up, MW2. Here's some music. I think this is kind of important. We got Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon, Passion Pit's Manners, Owl City, Ocean Eyes, which has fireflies on it, Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix, Black Eyed Peas, The Energy Never Dies, A Day to Remember's Homesick, Brand New Daisy. A lot of those, with the exception of Brand New, with Daisy by Brand New, and kind of the Black Eyed Peas album, and most likely the A Day to Remember album. The rest of them, like Passion Pit and the Phoenix album, all are albums that I think could be considered part of like the scooter canon. A lot of videos from 2009, 10, 11 have songs from these albums. I used Sleepyhead in my 2010 video. Oh, we also have Annoying Orange, and this is for like Techno Dream Trance. And the Yankees win their last World Series ever in 2009. Here's me to get an idea of kind of what I was about. Here's me doing a 360 turn down in my driveway. I have some Vans Whip 2s on, the Ryan Gutler signature shoe. I have some sweet Pock knee pads that were a bit overkill for this kind of stuntage. Here's my setup. I have inward T-bars and then Razor Pro, everything else. I have the bars right here. These are my first ever aftermarket parts. I will keep these with me forever. 18 high by 16 wide. They have a little bend in them. I have them on this Ultra Pro setup here, which I did not have back then. I got this about 4 or 5 years ago, just as sort of like a dick around scooter. But yeah, still got the bars. Was really into orange back then. Favorite color. Here's me in 2009 with Pat Lachlan, aka Big Daddy. We're throwing up some X Factors. If you know, you know. All right, so here we're in 2009. Here's some new parts that come out. We're talking innovation. So the Proto Brass Knuckles SCS come out in 2009. Here's a screen grab from the video that Andrew Broussard made in summer of 2008. This was released in February of 2009, but this video, the video is cool. It's him talking about the SCS, what it does. It essentially just allows for threadless forks. Even though threadless forks, I think, were kind of around before then. There was ICS compression, but the SCS really is what ushers it into sort of like the scooter mainstream. It's not a quad clamp, it's a compression system. This is definitely a prototype. It doesn't have the same knuckle thing here going on. Yeah, shout out Andrew Broussard. Here's the Eagle Sport signature wheels. These all come out in 2009. We have the Fernando Young SIGs, the Hep Gregs, and the Cody Donovan signature wheels. These things are sweet. This one is the best though. Pegs. So pegs were kind of around before 2009. Some of these were being made and people were making homemade pegs. You put like 4 or 5 bearings on an extra long axle. But anyways, 2009 is when pegs really start to kind of catch on, and we get some peg companies that come out. So that's why they're in here, despite this not really exclusively being a 2009 thing. Here's the District pegs, probably the first multicolored pegs that come out. Here's the SOA pegs. I stole this picture from Inside Scooters. Shout out Jordan. Here's the Quebec Scooters pegs. These definitely started getting made in 2008, but again, they're in here. And then Tilt. I couldn't find any pictures of the original Tilt pegs. I could only find them of like the chromos, but Tilt starts in 2009, and that's when they first start releasing pegs. One-piece decks. This is arguably the biggest innovation in scootering from 2009. Before, everything was foldable, despite the Micro XT deck, like kind of. But one-piece decks really have a boom in 2009, and scootering hasn't looked back since. We have never gone back to the foldable. This changes things. Here we have the TSI deck. I forget if this is the threshold or not, but TSI deck, these start in 2009. The Razor Ultra Pros come out in 2009. Here is the District and Addict decks. Neither of these are released in 2009, but they were in development in 2009, so they count. Here is the Lucky deck. The Phoenix deck, despite it saying 2010 here, they came out in 2009. And then here is the Mad Gear deck. I also am not sure if this is the Nitro or just the Mad Gear deck, what the exact kind of nomenclature is. These all kind of come out in 2009. The Phoenix deck is the best, in my opinion. I think people will disagree heavily with that, but I like the Phoenix the best. This video is sponsored by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Use promo code THREADLESS. Place any $5 wager, get $250 back in bonus bets. Offer valid in select states where it applies. Please gamble responsibly. Here are some companies that come out in 2009. TSI, we get Lucky Scooter Parts. Quebec, Dissonance, and Mad Gear all started before 2009. I want to say Mad Gear started in like 2002. But it's not until 2010 that Mad Gear really starts to get like the whole Mad Gear team together, and they start releasing the one-piece decks. So I include that in the sort of 2009 scooter boom. Dissonance, I know, started in 08. Oh yeah, and then so Addict and Blunt, I went over that already, but they technically started in 2009, but it's not until after that they start releasing parts to the public and have teams of their own. So I hope I didn't confuse anyone. We get Dog Scooters. It's a distributor from the UK. Tilt, SOA, Scooters Only Australia. Sky High, DSA. I think that was started by Cam Ward and his dad. They made deck savers, and I think they made forks. We get Phoenix and District. So everyone good with that? Okay, Inside Scooters. This is up there, in my opinion, with one of the biggest innovations in 2009 that really sets it apart. Inside Scooters was a blog started by Jordan Yasha. Stephen Tongson was a big contributor as well. He might have been a co-creator. They would post interviews, videos, part reviews. They had like partnerships with companies where they would release news about parts coming out. So it really was this like institution in scootering from January 2009 when it started until like 2018 when it really petered out. I have here this picture of this great library because I think that's a cool analogy to what Inside is to scootering. The site is still up, the blog spot. Go to insidescooters.blogspot.com. It's an invaluable resource to anyone that cares about this stuff. I really got a lot of this info for this presentation from Inside. I was reading Inside every day back when I was young. It really helped give me an idea of what was going on, and I really appreciated, since scootering was such a young sport, we didn't have these institutions like Thrasher or Ride BMX Magazine. Having a blog spot where there was centralized information, there were editors, there were people that were deciding what to share, was something that really helped me out and really helped me get enthused about the sport when I didn't know as much about it. Shout out Jordan. We wouldn't have a lot of this info without you, and scootering would have been for the worse without this shit. Just general shout out to Australia. Also just shout out this stuff. Here's some contests or events that happened in 2009. We had the Fusion Raise the Gnar tour. It was like a multi-stop tour in the US. Montreux contest. I couldn't find a flyer for that, but it did happen. I think Johan Grunwald has a video on his YouTube channel from it. Here is a picture from CooterCon. I think CooterCon 7 or 8. Zig Short doing the Skate Barn West drop-in moments before disaster. Here's a poster for the Staten Island comp. I couldn't find much other info about this online, but I got this poster from Inside. Here's the Extreme Wheels contest. Happens in Buffalo at Extreme Wheels Skate Park. Looks like Matt McKean here doing a board slide. Here's the Brooklyn Banks Jam. And then here's the 3rd annual San Diego Scooter Competition, which happens at the beginning of the year. The SD competition really does a good job of like bookending the scooter calendar, because it's always like the first week of January that it happens. So the scootering year does not start and end on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It starts and ends on the San Diego Scooter Competition. It's cool looking at the sponsors for these. You get a good idea of like what brands really had like juice and were contributing to the community back then. This is cool. This happens in 2009. Matt McKean and Corey Van Loo were featured on the Nitro Circus TV show. There's an episode where they go to Castle Bam in Westchester and they ride his like skate park. Here's Matt McKean doing a Bri Flip Air. They call him a Razor Pro Scooterer. Here's Corey Van Loo doing like a channel thing. And then here's Roner holding a setup. It looks like some Slayer bars, SCS, Pro Model deck, striker fork, wheels, probably grippers. Yeah, this was really cool. This was like the first and probably one of the last times that scootering was featured on like national cable television. So this is big. This happens right at the end of the year. This is the Mad Gear team. The Mad Gear Australia team goes to California for SD4, which happens in the first week of 2010. But this does a great job of kind of rounding out the 2009 experience. Here I have the Beatles when they arrive in the U.S. for the first time, when they get famously kind of mobbed. I put that in here as sort of compare. That's like when the Mad Gear Australia team came to Southern California in late 2009. The general public was not going as crazy as when the Fab 4 arrived, but I think when the Fab 6 came, there was a similar sentiment felt throughout scootering. We have here Luke Pickett, Jackson Andrewartha, Cody Donovan, Ryan Williams, Adam Latham Bolton, and Billy Rainbow. Here is the podium from SD4. Josh Kish won, Ryan Williams got second, and Jackson Andrewartha got third. This is one of those sort of top 10 anime crossover moments in scootering. Just Josh Kish, Ryan Williams, Jackson Andrewartha on the same podium. Here it looks like Josh Kish's setup. He's got, looks like black inward bars, copper/bronze colored SCS, probably a Phoenix deck, and then looks like a Cody wheel in the back. You can see a little bit of the purple coming out. Here is a poster for the video that the Mad Gear team made when they were in Southern California. You can't find the full thing on the internet, but I think you can find like the parts. Someone uploaded them separately on YouTube. You used to be able to find the full thing on Vimeo, but it's since been removed. If anyone has it and wants to upload the whole thing, I want to see it. Please do it. Here's some firsts that happened in 2009. I'm not a big like world first guy, but I think a lot of these, it's just worth knowing about. Tyler Bonner does the first 1080 on Skate Barn West box jump. Josh Kish does the first front flare. Peyton Pritchard does the first double flare to Resi. Jerome Haney does the first Bri to inward air. This clip is sick. He's wearing like a tall tee. He looks like a skier. This is probably my favorite trick done in 2009. And then Mike Connolly does the first Burger King tuck no-hander. Here are some setups from 2009, some scooters. A quick thing to add here, the earliest known scooter check that I can find on the internet is the Connor Davidson scooter check from, it's like August 2008. So right before 2008 is when these scooter checks start happening and they start getting more popular. I think the idea of having like a setup really grows in popularity in 2009, even though I'm sure beforehand people were posting their setups on Scooter Resource. Here is Jordan Yasha's scooter. I got this from Inside on his How to Rod SCS tutorial. He's got some French ID bars, rod SCS, a Razor Pro model deck, and then 2 metal cores. I'm not sure what they are, probably Eagles. And then here is a inward steel fork, looks like it's the one with the offset, and then some sort of threadless headset. Here's Red Bank Scooters 28 scooter, blue, probably inward T-bars, got double Razor Pro model clamp, threaded headset, inward steel fork, 0 offset. Wheels look like the, I think it's the Hep Greg signature wheels, the Eagle Sport ones, and then a Razor Ultra Pro model deck, black, and then I think this is a fakie brake. It's some kind of, maybe it is just a Ultra Pro brake that looks weird, but it looks almost like it has some knuckleage going on. Yeah, I think this is a little early for the fakie brake, but not positive. Here are 2 scooters from Johan Grunwald. Shout out Johan. A lot of great content on his YouTube channel from this era. Had a good camera and was filming a lot in like 2008, 9, and 10. So here are 2 of his scooter checks. This is the first one. He's got Wii bars. The rest looks like standard Razor Pro model, with the exception of this is clearly an Eagle wheel. And then it might have 2 clamps. I like this setup a lot. And then here is his later scooter check. Both of these are from 2009, but I think French ID bars, French ID clamp, fork, I'm not sure what that is. Might be French ID or Scooter Zone. TSI deck. And then he's clearly got a Cody wheel in the front, and then not sure what this wheel is in the back, but probably another Eagle. And then here's his cat in the background. I like the coloring going on this cat. He's got some nice mittens, some nice white underbelly going on. Here is Blake Dowling's scooter. Got some nice earth tones going on. I don't know what these are. Probably inward bars that he painted brown. I don't think you could get these powder coated brown from inward though, but I'm gonna call them inward T-bars. Razor Ultra Pro deck. Fork, I'm not sure what this fork is. It looks like he's got a threadless headset too, so he's probably running ICS with this. And then these wheels, I don't know what these are, because I'm not familiar with any wheels that have like a brown core. I'm gonna guess that these are Eagles that he just painted, and he probably painted the bars too. But this is a cool color scheme going on with this. You don't see a lot of scooters that look like this. Also looks like he's got some grip tape on the head tube, which is not ideal, but we'll forgive him for the cool color thing going on. Here is a kind of blown out picture from Prism Productions. Raw T-bars, clearly a brass knuckles SCS. Pro model deck, and then, yeah, I can't really see what else is going on here. It looks like you see some black here, so some sort of aftermarket threadless headset. I'm going to guess, I think he has a senior fork in this, if I remember correctly from the video that I took this screen grab from. And then wheels. Gun to my head, I'm going to say these wheels are Eagles that he painted. Here's my favorite scooter check from 2009. It might be my favorite scooter check ever. The scooter's so awesome. Inward T-bars, powder-coated blue. I think he has 2 Razor Pro model clamps in this. I forget though. Deck is Razor Pro model deck with you can see the bolted foldy mech. He has an inward scooter steel fork here. I think it's a 0 offset. And then he has 2 Eagle Sport wheels, I'm pretty sure of. Yeah, so here's all those setups again. This is what your average scooter looked like in 2009. All right, here's some videos. I made a little compilation from some clips from some of my favorite videos from 2009, so I'm gonna play that after this. And check out the links that I put in the description.